So welcome everyone to this Library Journal professional development offering. I am Carmen Scheidel. I'm your course host. I partner with Library Journal to help them produce their online courses. My company is called EdMaker, and we have really worked very closely with Library Journal in the past couple of years to build up innovative online courses that are very different from what you might find elsewhere. Today's course preview is focused on a new Library Journal course called Business Fundamentals for New and Aspiring Directors. So if you're just joining us, go ahead and say hi in the chat and let us know where you're logging in from, what is happening within your library, if there's something that you are comfortable sharing publicly, and we will help you join in the chat and answer any questions. Okay, so the focus of today is for me to tell you a little bit about this new course, answer any questions you have, and we also have a special thank you for those of you who are joining us today. I will say this, you are welcome to ask questions at any point, so feel free to ask them in the chat. You don't have to wait until the official Q&A. So let me make a couple of adjustments here, and we can get started. So one of the things that, one of the concepts behind the Business Fundamentals class is that each week over 4 weeks, and this is basically throughout the month of October, we will have these live meetings within a webcast space exactly like this, where you will have a guest speaker who is a library director presenting some concepts to you. Maybe it's a particular lesson, maybe it is, my mic. Maybe it is a teachable lesson from their career or a specific skill. And each of our guest speakers will actually present you with a challenge. It's our version of homework. It is, we call it a challenge because essentially we don't want to give you bogus work, an assignment that adds on to your already busy schedules. Instead, within the 4+ weeks of this course, we want to help you make progress on your work and get feedback from a small group of peers as well as a facilitator. So all of those things are happening within the course. Live weekly meetings with our special guest speakers, as well as challenges or assignments that you will work on in your own time and get very specific feedback on. Now, throughout the week, so we have these weekly meetings. Throughout the week, there's a lot of activity in the online classroom where you can initiate discussions either with a small group of peers or with a larger group of participants within the course. You can share resources, crowdsource questions that you have, and essentially the focus will be on solving any issues that are specific to your library. And we're guessing that you will find peers within the course who are experiencing the same challenges as you. So the assignments are, I think, the most important part of the course. At the beginning of this multi-week session, you will decide what you want to focus on, and then each week you can work on that. So if you know that working on your budget is the biggest challenge for you and you need input on it and confidential input, you can work on that with your course facilitator. That can be your exclusive focus in the course, or you can do a range of work. So each week our guest speakers will present a challenge to you, but it's up to you if you want, how much you want to tailor that challenge. So it's designed to be flexible. There is a structure, but it's designed to be flexible so that the work you do really applies to solving your problems. And essentially by the end, so again, after working over the next 4 to 5 weeks, we will expect you to walk away from the course having your major problems solved. You will have input, you will have worked on these issues and gotten a lot of feedback from library directors who can guide you. So it's a pretty impressive offering, I think. So now here's how it works with our guest speakers. So each week out of the 4 live sessions, we will have library directors who are leaders in their field. A lot of them are library journal movers and shakers, and they will be here to share their stories, to present you with challenges. And then we're trying something new with this masterclass. They will actually come back 1 week later to take any additional questions you have. So the way it works is that in week 1, Gretchen Casarati, who is the library director in Meridian Library District in Idaho, will present her ideas, her challenges to you. You will then go back and do your assignment and work, and then you'll have a chance to think about what she said and ask her any follow-up questions. Now, you will also have a small group facilitator who will be giving you actual feedback on your work, but you'll be able to ask her questions in the following week. So this is very unusual to have that kind of opportunity to really think about what someone has said and then ask them later. So we're excited about that, and we look forward to including you in that process. Now, a little bit about Gretchen. So she, are any of you familiar with her? Have you seen her speak before? She is a librarian with a national reputation for innovation, technology, integration, collaboration, and mentoring. She was a library journal mover and shaker in 2010. She's also a former children's librarian who did away with the Dewey Decimal System back in, I think, around 2008 in Darien, Connecticut. And she saw circulation in her library increase by 80%. So early innovator in that space. She also has a background as an actor, so she's a really amazing speaker. And she is currently the library director, as I said, at Meridian Library District in Boise, Idaho. And she's been in that position for 3.5 years, which in some ways I think makes her the perfect speaker for this course because she hasn't been in that role forever. She hasn't been in it for 20 years. She's been in it for a few years. So she is going to relate to a lot of your ideas about what it means to move into that role. It wasn't all that long ago for her that it happened. So that's our week 1 speaker. Now week 2 is on a special day. It's on a Thursday. So our schedules do sometimes change after we announce them, in part because these guys have very challenging schedules. So what will happen is we would alert you if there are any schedule changes. But in week 2, we have Jackie Knights, who is the CEO of Indianapolis Public Library. And we wanted to include her because the CEO role at a library, director, CEO, she takes a very strong position as a business leader. And she has a background working in government. She worked for the state of Indiana as president of the Indiana Economic Development Council, and she has also worked for the city of Indianapolis. So her 12 years on the Indianapolis City County Council have given her a very unique perspective on the role of the library within the community. She's going to be talking about taking the financial reins specifically, and she has a very unique perspective on that. Week 3, we have, sorry about that, just a sec. Week 3, we have Rivka SAS. She's the executive director at Sacramento Public Library. She's going to be speaking about strategic thinking. She manages California's 4th largest library system, where she oversees operations in 28 branches. So she's got a very large community. She is focused on community connections, lifelong learning, and literacy efforts. She was named Library Journal's Librarian of the Year, an honor that goes to one person each year. That was in 2006. And at that time, she was the executive director of the Omaha Public Library. Now, she is considered a risk taker, a change agent, and a library true believer. So again, another unique perspective. And our final speaker in week 4 is Soo Considine. She is the executive director at Fayetteville Free Library in New York. It's not far from Syracuse. She was a library journal mover and shaker in 2013, and she oversaw the Fayetteville Free Library's move from a very small structure to a 46,000 square foot former furniture factory. So a huge renovation, redesign effort that had ramifications for really everything at the library. Her vision, her community engagement, and dedication to creating leadership opportunities is at the core of what she does. She builds a culture of creativity, and she is known for having groundbreaking results. She says that her ideal is a nimble, empowered, and flexible staff that doesn't have a dividing line on what they feel they should do. So she will share, her talk is called In the Weeds, and she really gets into the workforce planning that is a part of leadership. So those are our guest speakers. So they'll be presenting their very specific experiences, what they've learned, their teachable lessons, and their challenges to you. They will each come back 1 week later to answer questions. So essentially, once we get into week 2, we'll have our featured speaker for about 45 minutes, followed by the previous week's speaker to answer some questions that have developed for you over the week. So as you can see, it gives you a chance to really interact with these innovators within library leadership. And then throughout the week, you'll be working within the online classroom. So we have discussion boards. We have the homework challenges that I've mentioned. Each of you will be assigned to a small group with a mentor who is focused on your group. So typically these mentors are former library directors who have retired or moved on to other roles, but they have experience as directors, and they will be giving you feedback on your work. So if you're struggling with figuring out your budget, or if you're trying to map out a workforce plan or something, a big project like that, you can ask them very specific questions, and they will give you their point of view as well as point you to additional resources. That small group mentoring will happen on an ongoing basis over the 4+ weeks. And I say 4+ weeks because we start with the live sessions, and then the work kind of continues after that. You know, we give you about a week to work on your assignments and get feedback. So it does kind of overlap into 5 to 6 weeks. Because librarians are such amazing participants in these courses, there is a lot of resource sharing. And as you can see already happening in the chat, if you were here earlier, you will have a chance to build connections with other librarians who are your peers across North America. And we have Victoria here from Mexico today. So you will make amazing connections. It happens in all of these classes. I've seen it happen time and again. So as a special thank you to those of you who are joining, we wanted to offer you a special code. So if you register for the course before September 23rd, here is the registration link. You are invited as a special participant today to use the offer code LJPD914, and you can save $100 off the course. So the course fee is $499, and it is a very intensive mentorship experience, and we promise you that you will come away from it transformed if you participate and do the work and bring real issues that you're trying to solve. And this is the link for more information, and I would love to take your questions. So let me know, and I'll take a quick peek to see what has come in. So Michelle Peterson was saying, how do you create an operating budget for a potential larger new building? Perfect question. So big questions like that will come up for each of you. In fact, one of the first things that we will do at the beginning of the course is to ask you to determine what your biggest questions are. Those will end up being your priorities for the course. and then you will focus on solving those unique issues, unique to you, within the 4+ weeks of the course. And Neva, definitely. So working with boards is a huge part of the library director experience. All of the library directors will be specialists in this area, and absolutely we know that there are unique challenges that go along with working with library boards, and we will absolutely cover it. What you can do is let us know, or once you join the course, really focus on what are the issues that are particular to your board. Is it getting their attention? Is it personalities and priorities? Is it whatever those issues are? We will help you focus on those, and this is where the MultiPerson Mentorship experience comes in. When we were developing this course, we thought about having one person teach the course. And we essentially decided against that because we wanted you to be able to pose questions like this to multiple library directors, so to our guest speakers, to ask them for their various points of view. As you saw from the program that I mentioned, people will have different specialties. They've worked in different parts of the country for different types of libraries, and they will be able to advise you. So we hope that those various points of view will really help you in your situation. Plus, in addition to having exposure to those 4 directors, you will be working very closely with your small group facilitator, who will have a background as a library director, as well as the peers in the group. So it's a very, very rich way to get feedback on your work and on your issues. And one of the things that we do with all of the library journal courses actually is that they always have a homework component, because we know that that work is really where the transformation happens, but we never want it to be busy work. It is always, we always want it to be a way to help you make progress in your real work. So we would never say, create a fake budget. Instead, we would say, research what is really happening with your budget at your library. How much information do you currently have access to? If it's a lot, then absolutely work with it. If you need more access, we would say work on that. It will really depend on what people's current roles are, but the whole experience is very customized to where you are and what you're doing. And essentially, the goal for us is to push you forward in your work. And it can be very transformative. So Nicole, yes. So go ahead and just email us, and you are welcome to have access to the discount. And we will get that taken care of for you. So you can email learn@edmaker.co. What other questions do you have? Have any of you taken any library journal courses in the past? Let us know if you have. I have a quick poll I wanted to ask you. And we sometimes do polls in the course. So when you think about your biggest library business challenges, what are they? In some ways, you'll see, you can go ahead and type your answer in the poll. If you have one thing that's easy to summarize, what would it be? Do you see the poll? Excellent. Yeah. So in terms of the biggest business challenges that you would want to focus on within the course, let us know what those are. So one person said convincing patrons of the value and worth of their local library. Definitely, that's an issue that comes up all the time with so many librarians have strong feelings about that. So many have done great work to really change that public perception. So absolutely, that's something that you could really focus on. Competing city departments is one other answer. And as you saw, one of our speakers is focused on that and has that specific experience. So you can learn, about sort of navigating that political space. Jackie Knights is someone who can really speak to that issue, and you could come in with questions for her. Effective marketing, communication with the board, project and change management. Yes, huge, huge issues. And so as you can see, if you took any one of these examples for the people who put this answer in, you could really focus on that and make that sort of your theme that you focus on within the 4 weeks. That doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you would do. If you're focused on project and change management, you could apply that lens to everything, even your budget planning, any of the work that you are doing within the course. Morale among staff and retaining great employees, huge issue. I love that you guys are mentioning these too, because they're very aligned with the topics that we're covering in the course. So the workforce component that will be covered in Soo Considine's session, which is our week 4 session. Some of the program dates are still evolving, so I noticed that on the site we may have some updates on the actual dates of the live sessions. They shouldn't be huge changes, and we always record the sessions so that if you can't make a session, you can always join the recording later. And then in this particular course, it's unique because the speakers are there to present and answer questions, and then they're back a week later to do kind of a quick town hall with you to see, as you've thought about what they've said and applied it to your work, what are other issues that have come up. All right, so I'm going to close out of this poll and go back. And let's see what other questions have come in. Oops, sorry here. So Neva asks, do you feel like the course is more for those who already have director positions rather than aspiring? It's very flexible, and in some ways we have designed it to be that way. It will never, if you are an aspiring director and you are in a peer group with people who are already directors, you will be able to take advantage of that and connect with them and learn from them. If you're already a director, you will have a chance to work with several different leading directors, innovators who are very well established in their positions. So we designed the course to be flexible in that way, and I think what you'll find is that the level of participation is at a high level. So you won't have this course is definitely not for people who are at the beginning of their library careers. It is for people who are on a career track that will put them into a serious leadership position. Neva, that's exactly right. So you should make those connections and see what happens. Do you guys know each other, Neva? Did I miss that in the chat? So, well, go ahead and, oh, excellent. See, this kind of networking absolutely does happen in the course. This is just a taste of it because in addition to these live chats, there are ongoing discussions in the online classroom. So you can initiate discussions on any topic. And like I said, the librarians are the best possible course participants because they're all, as you know, experts at finding resources and sharing them. So it really creates a dynamic energy in the courses. So I am going to conclude the recording here, but I will stay on if anyone has additional questions. But thank you so much for joining today's session, and we hope to see you in the course.